If you want more of a marathon cereal experience that you really get to savor and enjoy, maybe this isn't the best thing for you. But for a pinch, and I do mean a pinch, a snap, maybe that's why it's like snap, crackle, and pop, because you have to eat it snappily before it loses its crackle and pop. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Let's Get Cereal, the weekly show where I, your host, Melissa Marino, eat cereal and talk about stuff. Today, I am celebrating the fact that I haven't tried a new cereal in quite a while. I feel like we've been kind of going to, old standbys and maybe forgotten favorites. But today I thought it would be only right that we try out something that I personally have never tried before. Without further ado, drum roll, please. Cinnamon Sugar Krispies. I'm intrigued by this. I am usually, I'll be honest, I am not the biggest Krispies fan. Usually I feel like they get, hot take, I know. I feel like they get a little soggy kind of quickly, but I'm willing to give it a shot. This actually has a really good, because I am a Rice Krispies Treats fan, and this actually has a recommendation on the back for cinnamon sugar Rice Krispies Treats that can be made. So if I don't kill too much of this box, I know what I'm doing with the rest of it. But let's get into it. Oh, okay. All right, that is a powerful aroma. It's very cinnamon sugar heavy, but not in the way that a Cinnamon Toast Crunch is cinnamon sugar heavy. I'm willing to give it a shot, of course, but this smells a little artificial in its sweetness. So I'm very, let's just get in. I don't want to make too many prejudgments on this. But yeah, wow. I mean, definitely these are a little bit more of a honey color as opposed to kind of like the creamier color of regular Rice Krispies. It almost smells mapley, like toffee or maple. It might end up swaying me. It might. But, let's add the almond milk. Let's make it a party. All right. Definitely has the same very satisfying auditory sensation of pouring a bowl of Rice Krispies treats. But, my friends, Cinnamon Sugar Krispies. Let's get cereal. I will say, it's as if Kellogg said, hey, you know how Rice Krispies don't have an overabundance of flavor? They're pretty mild. We're going to go the complete opposite way, and we're going to make these super duper sweet. That is what they have done, my friends. This is a lot of flavor, a lot of sweetness, very sugary. And I guess that mapley sort of sensation that I'm tasting could be the cinnamon element. It's not terrible, but definitely I think I was expecting a Cinnamon Toast Crunch Rice Krispies hybrid, and I've gotten something completely different. Yeah, this feels like its own unique cereal experience as opposed to a mashup of two other cereals. I know time is of the essence. We have more to discuss, but I'm just kind of trying to power through as much of this as possible before it turns into mush. I poured a little amount, and a word to the wise from a cereal, self-proclaimed cereal expert. When it comes to any kind of Krispies, add less milk than you think. These things are hella absorbent, and they will just they will turn so soggy on you so quickly. For my ASMR fans, I feel like there's a little bit of snapping and crackling and popping that's still happening, but very, very little. You can hear we're already losing the crunch factor here. That's okay. We're rushing it, and that's the thing. This becomes a little less of an enjoyable experience, and it's more of like a sprint just to get through it before it loses all crunch whatsoever. And what do you know? It's already that time. Bottoms up. It wasn't bad. But I will say, if you want more of a marathon cereal experience that you really get to savor and enjoy, maybe this isn't the best thing for you. But for a pinch, and I do mean a pinch, a snap, I think that's why it's like snap, crackle, and pop, because you have to eat it snappily before it loses its crackle and pop. But anyway, a quick update. Today I went to the library. I love the library. I love books. And recently, before I went to the library, I had treated myself to some brand new books. I haven't purchased new books in a very long time, so I went a little overboard. I got like 4 new books, but I thought this would be a really cool opportunity for me to take you through some of the things that I enjoy reading, and read you some of the back covers of the books that I just purchased and what you would say. If you're not interested, you can stop watching now. But if you are interested, let's go. So a couple things for me. Key elements to be present in a book, and I'm almost sure to enjoy it. Witches, magic, fantasy, some kind of academic setting, like some kind of school or institution of some sort, circuses, oh, and like some kind of like traveling, any kind of travel element. Okay, so that would be number 6, I think, in my list. Travel. Oh wait, and then there's also like 1800s London, like late 1800s London, steampunk, big steampunk fan. Let's do a word of the day for people that might not know what steampunk is. What's the definition? Steampunk. Pretty cool. Very interesting. A lot of interesting anachronisms. Anachronism is another. Oh, you know what? Try and use this in a sentence today, but also anachronism. Yeah, good one. Try and use it in a sentence today. Yeah, I feel like those are the main things. If there's any kind of assembly of those things, mainly like magic has to be a part of it, because I just really wish magic was. I believe magic is real, but I just wish I knew how to do real magic. Like that would be super dope. So, without further ado, let me take you through my recent book purchases, and we're gonna set the mood. First up. Now this is a continuation. I read the first book of this series, and now this is the second. The Schwab, a gathering of shadows. Black London fell because of magic like this. What horror would it bring to the Londons that remained, to the starving white, or the ripened red, or the defenseless grey? It has been 4 months since the mysterious stone fell into Kel's possession. 4 months since he crossed paths with Delilah Bard. Now, while his own city is caught up in the pageantry and thrills of a cross-empire magical competition, yeah, sign me up, a once-lost London is returning to life. But the balance of magic is ever perilous, and for one city to flourish, another London must die. So, as I said, I read the first book in this series. It's actually really interesting because you have black, white, red, and gray Londons that can be traveled between. It's like 4 different versions of London and like different dimensions that can be traveled between. And as you heard, there's some stuff going down. It's pretty good, and I'm very excited to see where things go with this second installment in the series. Moving on to book number 2 that I purchased. Another thing where I had read the first book, and this is the second book in the series. So let's set the tone for this. The Defiant Heir by Melissa Caruso. Across the border, the witch lords of Vaskandar are preparing for war. But before the invasion of Rivera can begin, the 17 witch lords must convene at a rare gathering to decide a course of action. Lady Amalia Cornaro knows that this conclave may be her only chance to smother the growing flames of war, and she's prepared to make any sacrifice to save the Riveran Empire from destruction. Amalia and her bound fire warlock Zaira must go behind enemy lines, using every ounce of wit and cunning they have to sway Vaskandar's leaders from war. And this is another thing where it kind of left off with Amalia Cornaro is a lady in a very high ranking and accidentally is trying to help this this gal with magical powers, but she's like, her power goes crazy and she accidentally ends up becoming bound to her, and they both are not really keen on the idea, but now they're kind of linked for life. So how are they going to stop impending war between their lands? All right, next up, this is an author who I read one of their books and just fell so madly in love with the story that I was kind of like, okay, anything else that this person has to write, I want to read. So this actually sounds very interesting, bringing in a little bit more of a historical fiction element as well. So this is, let's set the tone, The Once and Future Witches by Alix E. Harrow. In 1893, late 1800s, thank you, there's no such thing as witches. There used to be, in the wild, dark days before the burnings began. But now, witching is nothing but tidy charms and nursery rhymes. If the modern woman wants any measure of power, she must find it at the ballot box. But when the Eastwood sisters, James Juniper, Agnes Amron, and Beatrice Belladonna, join the suffragists of New Salem, they begin to pursue the forgotten words and ways that might turn the women's movement into the witches' movement. Yeah! Stalked by shadows and sickness, hunted by forces who will not suffer a witch to vote, and perhaps not even to live, the sisters will need to delve into the oldest magics, draw new alliances, and heal the bond between them if they want to survive. So yes, definitely more. We still have witches. We still have late 1800s. We have a really dope cover art, and we have some of the historical elements and badass ladies. Thank you, and good night. And now, last but not least, I feel like I'm almost cheating because I'm almost finished this book, but was so taken with the idea, and this is again something that I have been looking in completely the wrong section when I went book shopping, and this was also under historical fiction. Let's set the tone. Sarah Penner's The Lost Apothecary. A forgotten history, a secret network of women, a legacy of poison and revenge. Welcome to The Lost Apothecary. In 18th century London, I have a type. Women whisper of a hidden apothecary shop and its mysterious owner, Nella, who sells well-disguised poisons to use against the oppressive men in their lives. Nella's dark world is no place for her newest patron, a precocious 12-year-old named Eliza Fanning. But their unexpected bond sparks a string of consequences that echoes through the centuries. 200 years later, aspiring historian Caroline Parswell is running from her own demons when she discovers a clue to London's long-unsolved apothecary murders. Caroline's upended present soon collides with an explosive history, binding her fate to Nella's and Eliza's in a stunning twist that transcends the barrier of time. Now, this did say that there are twists and turns and puzzles unfurling even up to the last paragraph. So I am here. I'm here. So I've got this much left. And it's twisty and it's turny and there's lots of stuff going on. But what I really find cool is, sidebar, I don't know how everyone else at home likes to read, but I personally, I like to gather my chapter pages so I know how many pages I have chapter by chapter. I don't know why, I've just always read that way. And I also like to know how many pages are in the book. So this actually has an appendix where it goes through the Apothecary of poisons. I believe there's also like a reader's guide. So if you have like questions you want to ask, or if you're doing this with a reading group. So I like to section off this part so I know that there are 316 pages in the actual book itself before we get to almost like an appendix of sort. But I did think it was really, really cool that they have this kind of the details and the historical notes about, you know, what was going on in those times to everyone's, you know, to the best of everyone's knowledge. But yeah, so that is what I have lined up on my bookshelf. I am also a very avid user of an app called Libby. And on Libby, they actually have things where you can link your library card, which I'm very happy is why I renewed my library card here in Philly. But when you use Libby, you can actually rent books through the app. So that's really cool. So I'm currently reading a book called Station 11, which is really, really interesting. It's actually, it's kind of heavy. It has elements of worldwide pandemic elements. It has elements that feel kind of like Mad Max in the Thunderdome. There's Shakespeare and a traveling symphony orchestra. It is very interesting so far. I'm barely a quarter of the way through, but it is an enjoyable read so far. I think that's it. But yes, so I love to read. Long story short, I absolutely love to read. And I'm glad that if you watched this far, thank you for taking the time to hear me talk about the books that I like. Very nice. What kind of books do you like to read? I would love to hear from you if you want to comment below. Tell me what kind of books you like. And maybe we can inspire each other. If you end up checking out any of these books or authors that I've discussed today, let me know. I would love to know how you enjoy them and if you have any recommendations for me. They don't necessarily have to fit all of the, you know, whatever, however many 7 elements that I like in my books, but I would be glad to check them out. So again, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Thanks for enjoying a quick breakfast. And until next time, my friends, continue to do your best to be your best. And I will see you later.